today is some destructive sampling of post-whirl, but pre-tasseling corn. If you see here, this plant is that we're going to demonstrate on is at that stage. It's post-whirl, but it hasn't tasseled yet. So the only way that you can actually sample that and do it well is through destructive sampling. We also have two scouts with us today, two highly qualified scouts. That points out the buddy system. So anytime we're doing sampling in middle of cornfields or soybean fields, it's always best to have two persons available in case something happens to one. So just a little aside on safety. But anyway, our scouts, first of all, will remove the plant, excise the plant, however you want to do that. Kyle or Colin, you want to get the plant off the ground, see if you can pull it up, or okay. We got the whole root system. As you can see, this is an irrigated field. We have nice moisture in our soil sample, but each one of these nodes is what we're actually going to be looking at as we slowly destroy the plant, sampling for insects. Right now we're looking for worms, fall armyworms or corn earworms. We're looking for the aphids, cornleaf aphids, or chinch bugs. Those are probably the pests that we're probably going to be able to determine today on this destructive sampling of this corn plant. So, okay, Colin, if you and Kyle want to start, maybe if you can break the plant off at the nodes as you go up the plant and then slowly unfurl the leaf. We can look behind the leaf and see if there's any insects there. Okay, see if you can you break that there? Break it over your knee. I guess not. Good, yeah, there you go. Okay, now start, yeah, there you go. Okay, start looking. What you're doing as you go slowly through here, you can see that there are chinch bug nymphs. That's what we're looking at right here. These are chinch bugs. Lots of times this time of year they're at the base of the plant where you got a lot of moisture, but they can be up and down the plant also. So, okay, let's go to the next node. Break that off so you can get to that furl. As you can see, Colin, he's a K-State football player, so he has maybe a little more strength than others, but generally speaking, the plants break pretty easily at the node. They're generally pretty turgid. As you can see here, there's thrips also. Lots of thrips. Those are really not going to be a problem, but when you're out in a cornfield or any other kind of field, they will bite. They test humans, so they can be kind of disconcerting. Sometimes, especially when there's a lot of them, and there can be a lot of them. So, okay, next node. You just kind of work your way up the plant, unfurl the leaves as you go. Look behind each leaf. You can also look and see if you see any damage. If it is a fall armyworm or a corn earworm, there will be holes in the leaves or holes in the stalk, or European corn borer, southwestern corn borer. Well, you can see here there's a chinch bug that has just molted. There are a few chinch bugs in this plant. There's some thrips. That's pretty much it. Not too much to worry about yet. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, you can see where something has fed here on the outside, on the exterior of the next node and next leaf. So you can see where the ears are starting to develop, but there's really nothing there. A little thrip, but that's no consequence right now. So we'll just keep looking throughout the plant till you actually find something. When the plants are like this, generally where you're going to find the insects is at the most succulent portions of the plant, like where the ears are just starting to form or starting to develop, or in the whorl, because they like the apparently they like the most succulent, juiciest part of the plant also, just as we do. You can see up as you get closer up to where the tassel's starting to form inside the plant, you can see you got some insect damage from a chewing insect. So Kyle's going to very carefully unfurl these leaves. If it is a really small caterpillar, they are really easily squished or easily lost on the ground. And generally what you want to do is trying to make sure you see it so you can properly identify what it is. Okay, now you got to be careful, yeah, when you unfurl these leaves. That's where you're going to find the tassel in the interior of this plant as it's starting to form. Okay, you can see where there's some damage on the outside here, but there's no damage past that. That leads me to believe that there's probably been some insect pests feeding on this, but something has happened to it. Either it got it matured, pupated in the soil, or some other insect killed it, but we'll find out for sure here in just a minute as Kyle continues to unfurl this down to the tassel. But if you're doing this in your field and you're trying to cover a lot of acres in a short period of time, I would probably stop right now because I don't see any reason to continue to looking, because there is obviously nothing has been feeding on this. But in this case, it looks like there might be some cornleaf aphids. And the cornleaf aphids are going to be in the very interior, right around the tassel. If there are any, you can see some cornleaf aphids up in here, up in the top part. The problem with cornleaf aphids, they do produce substantial quantities of honeydew. The honeydew is sticky. That can stick together the tassel so that the pollen is not dropped, so that the silks don't become pollinated, or probably more commonly the cornleaf aphids will move down from the tassels down to the silks. As the silks start to emerge, they'll start feeding on the silk and they will stick together the silks. They will junk up the silks so that the silk can't accept the pollen, so that you have very incomplete or poor pollination. So the density of cornleaf aphids we have right now is nothing to worry about, but they can reproduce parthenogenically, which means they don't have to wait to mate, they don't have to wait to lay eggs, they don't have to wait for the eggs to hatch. They will just reproduce females, and those females will reproduce females, so these populations can explode very quickly. We probably have another 10 days, 14 days right now before we get silking. These aphids are going to increase, so that's something we want to look at. Probably another 7 days in this field, trying to determine if it's going to be a problem or not. Okay, thank you guys. These are cornleaf aphids, and they're infesting the tassel as the tassel just starts to emerge. So it's kind of, they've been down in there in pre-emergence. Normally, we don't consider them to be a big problem in Kansas, but when they're infesting corn at this stage, as it emerges, they do produce a lot of honeydew. Excess honeydew can stick up, junk up, cause the plant not to have the tassel come out, so therefore you don't get good pollination. So when you get cornleaf aphids, and there's probably, I'm guessing, maybe 50 to 100 cornleaf aphids. That's probably not going to be bad enough, as you see the tassel's already extended. But if they get to be any more, if the density becomes any greater, that's going to interfere with pollination. So we're going to have a real problem pollination, and then you got the drought causing problems with pollination. You got corn leaf aphids causing pollination problems, so it could be a bad situation. So that's something you need to look for. Post-whirl, pre-tassel stage corn.